Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Hindu newspaper analysis. As always, we are referring to the Hindu newspaper's daily edition. Okay, so yesterday we had talked about the freebies. I had briefly described this. Now we have Supreme Court has sought that a panel should be created to look into the issue of freebies being promised by the political parties. Right, so a panel would be formed. Suggestion is that Niti Aayog, Election Commission of India, Finance Commission, so they should look into this issue. So we'll have more of this news. It calls for a panel. So let's see what is the exact details over here. What I understand is that this freebies issues is going to be important, particularly from the point of view of mains 2022. Very, very important, tendency to make something very, very current. So this question can be picked up. Okay, China sets up pressure on Taiwan. So the US president, US speaker, Congress speaker, Miss Nancy Pelosi. So she has visited Taiwan, and China did not like it. Naturally, they will not like this. So now what they have done is they are taking series of measures to put pressure on Taiwan. Now, one of them is to engage in a series of military exercises. Military exercises or naval exercises with the idea of, let me show you Taiwan first of all. So Taiwan, China map. Yeah. So they are doing a series of aerial exercises, Air Force exercises, in such a way that the airspace of Taiwan will be blocked. Right? They'll be conducting military exercises, they'll be firing missiles, rockets, airplanes will be going, fighter planes. So realistically speaking, if this area is blocked, if exercise is going on over here, any passenger plane will not be able to go through it. So this they are doing. Okay. Union government rolls back data protection bill. Fine, we'll look into it later. Okay. Such topics, yeah, I should be making videos on that. Okay, High Court transfer, Pansari's probe to ATS. Okay, let's look at the city news now. Coming soon, an app-based bus service, right? So app-based bus service. So people know which bus is coming at which time. So all that at the local level. I think all of us, we are booking bus tickets if we are moving interstate. So we Volvo's services particularly. So how about having local bus services, buying tickets, etc., knowing logistic lanes, knowing which bus is going from where is the bus exactly at this moment. So that will naturally encourage more people to travel. It will make it more convenient. So use public transport. Okay, so you see technology or e-governance over here, application over here. And besides, the move is about reducing personal vehicles on road, the issue of congestion, traffic, pollution. So if people travel by public transport, naturally it will be good for the environment. It will be good for the convenience of the people. Okay, so that is the idea. Now the obvious thing that comes to mind, the civil service paper is about policies. So from the point of view of GS2, like governance, what measures are the government taking? Right, this is one such measures. What measures are the government taking to reduce personal vehicles on roads, or what measures they can take? So I want you to mention this in the comment section, what measures can be taken. Now, besides this, two important things from where you can know. So one is transit-oriented development policy. The government has been prioritizing transit-oriented urbanization or transit-oriented development. That based on the transit, let's say metro transit is there, so there are routes over here. So the urban infrastructure should be based accordingly, so that, okay, we know these are houses, people will go to offices, so it should be planned in such a way. Healthcare is according to, it should be conveniently accessible by transit. So transit oriented development, that is one thing. Then the policy on urban mobility, this was in 2014. In fact, again, this policy is coming up. And the policy in 2014 was actually taken up in the exam also. And there was a very important good catchphrase: moving people. The focus of the government should be moving people or moving passengers as against vehicles. I'm not quoting the exact thing actually, but you get the idea. Moving people should be the focus of the transport rather than moving vehicles. So moving people or moving passengers means public transport. Okay, so we are on this. Next is want to enhance skills. Fine, DU open to all. No merger with India, but Nagas cannot live apart, says NSEN IM. Right. So this is this is a militant faction. This used to be a militant faction, and they were having talks with the Indian government, the union government, so that normalization takes place. Fine. So let us look at the map over here first of all. Yeah, because this is basically important from the point of view of internal security. Okay, so you saw the physical map of the northeast region. We're talking about Nagas, so northeast region. This is the northeast. So this people of the Naga Hills. So people of the Naga Hills have been demanding a Naga homeland known as Nagalim. So there is a demand for, it's given in the paper also. It's known as Nagalim. So already a state of Nagaland has been created with majority of the Naga population is here. So they want a state of Nagalim. So Nagalim would mean the adjoining areas, the adjoining hill areas, here also Naga population is living, Arunachal Pradesh, parts of Assam, parts of Manipur. So you can draw a bigger circle. So that would be Nagalim. And it also includes, so this is only for the Indian part, it also includes the areas in the Myanmar region, Myanmar country. So here also. So they have been demanding for a separate Nagalim. So in 2015, there was a Naga Accord that was signed. Nobody knows really what was part of that thing, Naga Accord 2015. We can only speculate on that. Okay. This time the NSCN leadership, one second. Yeah. Have said that the central government has not respected the wish of the Nagas. So one, they say that it did not respect the Naga identity. So whatever arrangement was there, so naturally some concessions would have been given by this union on the issue of Nagalim. And so that would be one this thing. Of course, if both parties have signed this, they have created a framework as to how they will sort out this problem. Now, the issue of identity when it comes, they say that interlocutors, the negotiators from India, have not accepted the demand of having a separate Naga flag. So that has not been permitted. And besides that, the Naga people having their own constitution, that is also not permitted. In our polity, Indian polity, there is only one constitution. There was an exception, Jammu and Kashmir, and that Jammu and Kashmir constitution was also more or less the Indian constitution only. So we have only single constitution, so naturally this could not have been accepted. What we offer actually is typically what we offer, and you can refer Article 371. We have 370, which gave more autonomy to Jammu and Kashmir. Likewise, there are other states also whom we have given greater autonomy. So they say that you have to be part of India. There is no question about it, and you have to accept the constitution. Yes, within the constitution, we can give you greater devolution of powers. We can give you more autonomy. That is fine. That we can give. We can make exceptions for you. But it will be within the constitution only. We cannot accept this demand for a new constitution. So that is the typical way by which, India, you look at whichever agreement that has taken place, be it for Manipur, be it for any other state. These are the basic criteria. So naturally, this would have been accepted. Right. So this is there, and besides this, this is one issue. And besides this, obviously, if the this NSCN faction, main militant organization, they say that we want to create this Nagaland. So it will pass through different states, Manipur, Assam, Arunachal Pradesh. The idea is that all Naga people live under one polity. Now, naturally, Arunachal will not like it, Assam will not like it, Manipur will not like it. Their territories are being taken away. So in Manipur also, the hill people are known as the Nagas. Then there is another community known as Metis community, which is a majority community. They live in the plains. And there is another community known as Kukka community. So these three are there. Right, so Manipur also, they keep having this tension. Okay, so that is the problem. So the states are also not going to really give in on this demand. So let's see, because if they accept it, then the militant factions, extremist factions in other states are going to take up this issue separately. Okay, so that was a very brief on the Naga issue. Now, from the point of view of mains, I teach internal security also. Yeah, so from the point of view of mains, it comes in mains only. Thing is that UPSC has not really asked state-specific problems. It collectively has been asking about the problems with the Northeast. Now, Northeast issue, collectively it has been taken as a region. So you can add to this, they can add to this dimension of trafficking, drugs, money laundering, so that they can ask. But more or less the theme still remains the same. That is, they are only asking at a macro level, at a bigger level, not at the state level. But we should be mindful. We should have it prepared. That is what was, briefly about Naga Accord. So that also we should prepare, I think. Right. So this is there. Then this Assam Meghalaya Boundary Pact. This we should be prepared. We cannot leave it to chance. Yeah, rain abates in Kerala, but death count rises to 19. I hope you understand now what abates mean, even if you don't know the meaning without Googling, that the rain has come down in Kerala, but the death toll still remains. So red alert has been withdrawn. Okay, Atirapalli Falls lies in which state? Fine, it has to be Kerala. Okay, Atirapalli Falls associated with which river? That you check and let me know. Yeah, so this is the editorial and the opinion section. I personally do not find this very important, teaching the Taliban the wrong lessons, but still I thought we should know briefly about this, right? So this one I'm going to do. Trade worries briefly. Same thing, imports are increasing, exports are dwindling, it is coming down. So that, this one. Yeah, so this is it. So let's do it one by one. Teaching the Taliban the wrong lessons. I think it's amply clear that in Afghanistan, Taliban is dominating. So Taliban has formed their government. So they are ruling. Now Taliban has been wanting legitimacy. They have politically, militarily speaking, they have been able to control the state. The president of Afghanistan, old president, has fled away. But now they want legitimacy. They want recognition in the international community. That is also very much required. Then they want assistance. They have to run the economy. It's not just about conquering the territory. It is also about running the government. They have to provide assistance. There is a humanitarian crisis. There is crisis of food. There is a crisis of currency. So that has to be looked into. And for this, again, it needs international help. For that, it will need legitimacy. It needs recognition. So that they have been wanting. And mind you, Taliban is still fine. It is running the government. It is still a militant organization. And more recently, we had in Kabul, in the prime area, where these embassies of various countries are there. So there, a militant, a well-known leader of the Al-Qaeda faction was killed. So that means Taliban is promoting the militancy also. Okay. So they have been wanting this all the time, and they have been doing, and more or less they have been able to get acceptance by these countries also. So India also is looking at engaging with the Taliban, engaging with Afghanistan. It has its own interest over here. Previously they were not doing it, but now they are looking at engaging with Taliban. Okay. The countries of Central Asia, if you look at Afghanistan, map of Afghanistan, so over here, there are Central Asian countries, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, you name it, all of them are located over here. It is for this reason that Afghanistan is also known as the gateway to Central Asia. From here, you can go to the Central Asia, Afghanistan. So it has been able to get this thing. China and Russia were already two major blocs, powers, were already having relations with them. They continued with them when other countries said, we are not talking to you, when Taliban emerged. Okay, so this they had done. Now, obviously, Taliban has to be influenced. So the world community at that time was saying, before India and other countries, so they were saying that, see, you want international recognition, you want assistance. If you want us to engage with you, then in that case, you have to do certain things. You have to ensure certain things. You have to ensure human rights, especially rights of the minorities. You have to give respect to the women education, right? Participation in economic lives, so that liberties should be provided. And then these territories of yours should not be used for terrorist-related activities. Afghanistan should now not become a breeding ground for militant activities. None of this is happening. For some time it happened, and none of this is happening. But Taliban is one thing. The first lesson it has learned is that if there is a period of calm, if nothing really has happened, then the world forgets about these things, even if they were affected. Central Asian countries have been affected by Taliban. India has been affected, but they forget if there is a period of calm. So that they have learned. So even if there is a short period, that is fine. These countries forget about it and they start talking. So that is a wrong lesson. We know the history of Taliban. We know what all is happening. We know, obviously, media is also there. We know those things. US has many other problems. Its prime concern is no longer human rights and other things. It has many other problems to look into. Its own economy is not in a good shape. There is a risk of this Taiwan invasion from the Chinese. It is trying to keep up with China at this point of time. It has tension with this Russia. So Ukraine-Russia war, sanctions. In fact, this crisis, this thing is known as the twin challenges. That is how the author has put it. The twin US is facing the twin challenges from Russia and China. Right. So that is there. So basically, these are some issues over here. These are the main things that the world they have learned, and this is going to embolden them. So this is not going to stop them. This is going to embolden them, and this is not the right approach. So that is what the author is saying. Okay, next moving on to the trade worries. Yeah, simple. It's very simple. Yeah. So exports are not increasing. They are not increasing. In fact, it went down. Yesterday we did it 0.7%. Imports are increasing. It is increasing at a very high rate. Imports are increasing, exports are declining. Besides, we also know, this is the main problem, and it says that the policymakers should look into this issue, prioritize. So this is what this thing is saying. When the imports are more than the exports, then we have the trade deficit. Okay. So one thing is that because of this Ukraine war, this thing is happening, our currency is depreciating, our currency is falling down. So that means that the exporters should have a trade benefit. when they are exporting something, they should have benefit, but that is also not helping the trade. Depreciation in the currency is not helping us. So what explains this situation? So one probable thing is that demand is increasing. For import point of view, demand is increasing. Well, I feel it is more of this commodity prices. So commodity prices, their prices have increased, particularly because of this depreciation of a currency. So remember, if the currency depreciates, so we have to spend more money to get dollars. So imagine with the crude was $70 per barrel, and now it is at $100 per barrel. So this cost of fuel has increased, but at the same time we have to multiply this by 70 over here. So 70 into 70, and this is what, 82 into 100. So even this is increasing. So obviously the import will also will increase. Okay, so this is the primary reason. I feel it is more of this reason over here. Now coming to the export side, the main reason could be that even the currency is not able to help us. The main reason would be that overall demand in the foreign market is low. Even the traditional sectors like engineering, gems, jewelry, garments, so are the sectors on which we have a better hold. So even those sectors are actually reflecting a decline. So those sectors are reflecting a decline, and this reason has to be the lack of demand. And we have been talking about it for quite some time. Not mentioned in this article, but we did this before. IMF has declined the world growth outlook. So the world GDP figures have been revised and it has been come down. We have been talking about inflation rising, US Fed hike is taking place, European Central Bank is also doing their interest rate hike. So inflation is increasing. Then we're hearing about demand, etc., are coming down. So the indicators of the global economy are not very, very good, particularly from US and EU, which import the bulk of our things. Right? So if US EU imports, naturally we are exporting them. So that is the prime reason. Such a theme can also be asked, like what explains the rising or the burgeoning trade deficit? What measures may be undertaken or what measures have been taken? So that type of question can also be asked. So this should be 150 words. If they are unkind to you, it will be 250 words. Has to be 150 words, but there is no rule as such. So that should be prepared for mains 2022. Very clear. I've seen questions on the rise in the crude prices and all those things. So in fact, crude prices rise, that is also there. They seem easy, but under pressure they become difficult. Such questions. Yeah. And moving to the next article, public asset sale, the concern of fiduciary duty. Okay, so this article is basically talking about sale of the public assets, starting with the sale of the Air India. So this is a concept, maybe let's do it quickly. Okay, so Air India was sold. Now naturally, if a company is being sold, if you are selling something, imagine if you are selling something and you had taken some loans on that. Maybe you bought a house and you are not able to pay the loans for that, right? So you bought it on loan. So ideally, you will ensure that the amount of money that you get, from the buyer is adequate to fund the house. You just don't transfer the house, you just don't transfer the property, but you generate adequate money that your liability or the loans that you had to pay, that is also taken care of. So that is the basic idea, that the liabilities are also gone away. That you'll do, and you'll do all the checks over there. But in the case of government, we are not saying this. They have transferred the asset, they have transferred the Air India, but not the liabilities. The loans are still to be paid. Most of it is retained by the government. And when it is to be paid by the government, how will the government pay? It will be from your tax money, or it would be by borrowing. But at the end of the day, the burden is going to fall on the people. So it is the fiduciary's duty. Who's fiduciary? Fiduciary is a person who is in control of a entity or an asset. For example, Air India or any of these PSUs, public assets, whatever that is there. So government is under the trust and government is controlling it. It's under the charge of the government. Yes, these are public assets, it's people's assets, but in end of the day, it is with the government over here. So it's the government's duty. But if the government is not able to look into this aspect of liability, then there raises concern over their fiduciary duty. So that is the thing. So let's look at it. This what happened with the Air India. So Air India was sold for a consideration of rupees 18,000 crores, right? So 18,000 crores. 15,300 crores was for the debt and 2,700 crores in cash to the government. So government only gets 2,700 crores. So 15,300 crores in debt. So fine, now my point may not seem valid, but the total liability of the company is rupees 46,262 crores. 46,262 crores. So total. So if you remove, to add this over here. So this liability is still retained by the government, and this will be moved towards a special purpose vehicle known as Air India Asset Holding Limited. Right? So Air India Asset Holding Limited. So whenever the government doesn't know what to do, they create a special purpose vehicle. The burden is transferred over there. Then aage ki dekhenge, like that kind of an mindset. Okay, so this will be there. Who will pay? Obviously, the government will pay. Somehow, gradually, they will have to remove this. Okay, so that this is the basic problem, and I hope you realize what this means. Now, only positive over here could be that the government may not be making future losses on this asset. So only that could be the only possibility over here. Okay, so that is one thing. So this is just Air India. And to be fair to the government, it was very difficult actually to get somebody to buy Air India. Okay, obviously 46,000 crores is quite a lot of money. Okay, now see, there is one more thing that we should be mindful. There is something known as national monetization pipeline that is going on. The idea is that within the next 2022 to 2025, how many years? So between the next 4 years, the government will be monetizing public assets. This already made highways in these land that are available with the PSUs. So these assets would be monetized. It will be given to the private hands. So private sector will buy this, will pay the government, and it will provide the access to these government resources or access to these public assets to the private sector. So they can find ways of earning revenue from these assets. So this is the national monetization pipeline, and the government expects 6 lakh crores. Normally their expectations are way off the mark. Way off the mark. For this 5G, this thing, they were expecting 5 lakh plus crores. While they are at 1.5 lakh crores. The spectrum auctions that took place. So they are always way off the mark. So they say that they will generate 6 lakh crores in the next 4 years. Okay, so we are not criticizing it right now, but see, so many assets will be sold. So in that regard also, we need to be mindful about this fiduciary duty, right? How this proceeds, how the sale is going, are there adequate checks and balances in place? So that has to be looked into. Besides, this author has also brought in point the issue of political funding. So the issue of electoral bonds. So electoral bonds is a way to fund political parties, not by means of cash. Typically, it was being done by cash. Now it has to be done via the electoral bonds. I mean, it can be done by many ways. One of the ways is electoral bonds. The issue with the electoral bonds is, I have a video on this. So the issue is basically anonymity. So who has funded, we do not know. But we yet an RTI was filed, and it was found that majority of these bonds are coming with the ruling party at the center. Okay. Now, who has provided the funding to the political party? It is important to be known because it always raises the issue of the conflict of interest. The government is a fiduciary of public resources. So the political party in power is controlling the government. If the political party in power is being funded, if somebody is giving you money, there is some sort of an obligation that you do return the favor in kind. So some favors could be made or some kickbacks could be there. So some corrupt activities could be there. So there has to be transparency on this. I mean, on the private, on the privacy front, this has to be rectified. So it says that Chinese companies are getting all these orders from our country. So basically implying that possible that the government may be funded by the Chinese also political parties. So we need to know more about this. So that's the author's view, not my view, right? Okay. Yeah, bring back the Dow route. So this is with reference to the Indian Ocean. So this, I'm not really doing this. Overall, I'll tell you. Author is basically saying that the Indian Ocean region is very, very important, and over the years, many people have tried to control this. Okay, now I feel we can look at it from this way. One is Indian Ocean region. You know, the government has been focusing on all this from the point of view of diplomacy. So Sagar Initiative and all. So Indian Ocean region diplomacy. Then we can also look at it from the point of view of GS1, heritage and culture associated with the Indian Ocean region. So maybe from that perspective, we can look at it. Okay, moving forward, we have some facts over here. Yeah. So one is number of crore-patis in a country. So 1.31 in lakhs. So 1.31 lakh crore people, 1.31 lakh people have filed income above 1 crore in the recently filed income tax returns. Right, so yeah, so number of these people have increased basically. So this number has increased. Trade deficit widens, I think we have done this enough. So this has increased. National Highway Authority of India, so public sector entity. So this is having 3.49 in lakh crore as outstanding debt. You can imagine the amount of money that is there. So remember yesterday's budget video. So we are talking about this interest payments that have to be done. So imagine even if 5% of interest payment has to be done on this, it's a huge, huge, huge amount. Decline in insurgency. You know why we are getting all these facts over here? Because parliament is functioning. Parliamentary committees are functioning. So either it is in the question answer format, question answer or 0 hour. So on that, the parliamentarians ask questions and the reply comes from the minister. That is the basic source from where we are getting all this data. Okay, so yeah, so decline in insurgency. So 74 in percentage, so 74% decline it is saying in number of incidents or civilian deaths, etc., that were taking place since 2014. And this is with reference to the Northeast. So again, what measures have been taken by the government to reduce the militancy in Northeast? So that should be a theme, like what are the positive factors responsible for the unrest and what measures have been taken? What are the trends in the insurgency? So that is the thing that we have to work. Okay, moving forward. Here. we don't have to do it, but still, understanding the provisions of the foreign visits of the state government minister. So there is this 1982. I was thinking, I mean, was it really required? Yes, it is required. So here we get the clarity. So there is a cabinet secretariat order issue which said that the officials of the state government, actually chief minister is an official in that case. So for that to be purpose, political clearance is required. So political clearances are mandatory, even before private visits of ministers, right? So this is also required. I think it is only for official capacity. Please check this, but clearance is required for official this thing. So let me just cross check this, please. Sorry. Fine. So even private visits are there, but I mean, yeah. This is an article about the history of Hyderabad, so culture, GS1. India to host UNSC meet, and this thing is the same. So SC calls for a panel to look into the freebie issues. So government as well as organizations such as Niti Aayog, Finance Commission, Law Commission of India, Reserve Bank of India, opposition must sit together and see about the panel. India to host UNSC meet on counter-terrorism. Fine. So UN, United Nations Security Council, it has P5 plus temporary members. India is a temporary member, and before its terms ends, just before, India will be presiding over, or hosting means presiding over, a UNSC meet on counter-terrorism. You know why I read this article also, right? So counter-terrorism. Right. Now, typically, India's stand is going to be like, India's stand is going to be on counter-terrorism. India is going to talk about the issue of Pakistan, and it is also going to raise the issue of Afghanistan, Taliban. So this issue is going to come up over here. Now, with reference to terror, we have this issue of terror financing. So this terror financing thing is more or less sorted with the Financial Action Task Force. So this is doing good work on this front. So that is there. Now what we really need to do is, we want the world countries to come together and collaborate on the issue of counter-terrorism, especially this cross-border terrorism that we have. So, or state-sponsored terrorism. So any state that allows the presence of militants, or allows militants, militants or terrorists for creating instability in the other country, so that should be looked into. So for that purpose, if we want the world countries to work together, we have to define what is terrorism. And after that, what actions should be imposed on those states which are seen to be perpetrating terrorism or using the tools of terror to influence other countries. So that is what India has been looking to do from a very, very long time. In 1996, India has proposed a convention on counter-terrorism. So comprehensive convention on international terrorism. So this was first proposed. So basic idea is defining terrorism and taking action on any country which is seen to be found guilty of this. Okay, no country will accept, I mean, countries are not going to accept this very easily. US is seen to be promoting, first Islamic State, then some Nusra Front. So that was going on. Al-Qaeda was again an agency of the US at one point of time against the Soviets. So it's very difficult actually. All countries in some way or the other have been engaging with this thing. Saudis, be it this Iran using the Houthis in the Yemen. So we have number of things. So I mean, it's a difficult thing to do. Okay. India brings 30 lakhs, 36 from Kabul, and obviously Hindus also. It's not mentioned over here. I'm mentioned here, not in the headline. Okay, Suresh Patel is now the new CVC, Central Vigilance Commissioner. right? So Central Vigilance Commissioner obviously is heading the CVC, Central Vigilance Commission. So, and besides this, two other commissioners are also appointed. So CVC plus two. So this is the full strength of the office of CVC. Is it a constitutional body? No, it's not mentioned in the constitution. Who appointed these members? President appoints naturally. But who advised the president? That is important. So who was part of the selection panel? So see, all your Lakshmikant thing is mentioned over here. Selection panel headed by Prime Minister and the leader of opposition. There is a problem with this. It cannot be just Prime Minister and leader of opposition. There has to be one more person from the center. So because obviously the union is more important entity, it can't be two people. Then there will be deadlock overall. Okay, so this we are done, and obviously Central Vigilance Commission. So vigilance, checking actions of corruption if somebody does it where at the level of center. So Central Vigilance Commission. Yeah, this is with reference to the issue of defection. So, yeah, so obviously with reference to the Shiv Sena. So Shiv Sena, Uddhav Thackeray and Shiv Sena people under the leadership of Uddhav Thackeray. So in the Maharashtra legislature, Shinde camp, a group of people, majority of the people, went and they said that we will form a coalition government with the BJP. They didn't join the BJP. So now it becomes like this: Uddhav Thackeray plus Shinde camp plus BJP. So this camp has become one. So this is a case of defection. Definitely this is a case of defection over here. Now when we look at the issue of defection allows for merger. Merger is permitted. Merger with a particular political party. Shiv Sena can join the BJP. So if the two-third members of the membership who are the members of the house, if the two-third members merge with the BJP, then that is fine. But if they say that we are part of Shiv Sena, or rather if we say that the party has merely split, so then that exception is not protected. So split is not allowed, merger is allowed. So Kapil Sibal, who's representing the Uddhav Thackeray camp in the court, so he's saying that either you merge with the BJP, you become part of the BJP, or you lose your membership, face disqualification. Well, the Shinde camp, so being head by Harish Salve, so he's saying that this is a case of intra-party rebellion. This is not like a split. So let's see. Cabinet nod for climate pledges. So you see, Prime Minister Modi, right, somebody of his representative, he goes to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. So many C's, right? UNFCC. So they go there, the representative goes there, they sign something, there is an agreement that takes place, then they come back to India. Now this has to be approved. Indian ministers, etc., will have to talk and discuss and approve. So this is signed, it has to be eventually ratified. So the cabinet, now the first thing has happened, India approved over here. Now the cabinet has given nod for the climate pledges. So whatever India had said, promised or committed nationally determined contributions towards dealing with the issue of climate change. So much of it, some of it has been accepted. It didn't accept all the features, that is not mentioned here. So it does not include all the promises. Some of the features have been accepted. So what all has been accepted? So during the time of this meeting at the UNFCC, 5 commitments or Panch Amrit, right? So Panch Amrit was their name given to the 5 commitments India has made. So one is non-fossil energy capacity should be increased to 500 gigawatt. So 50% of India's electricity, in simple words, will come from the renewables. That has to be 500 gigawatt. So complete addition, and out of 1000 gigawatt, 500 will come from the renewables. So this target was set for 2030. Okay. Then we'll meet 50%, same thing. Then 1 billion tons projected carbon, the total projected carbon emissions by 1 billion tons from now till 2030. So present to the 2030, we will reduce the projected carbon emissions. So fossil fuels, coal, etc. that is being put, that we will reduce. Reduce the carbon intensity of its economy by more than 45%. Right? So this has to be done, and net zero by 2070. So we have not really done this, but we have accepted this thing, 50% in renewables. So that we have accepted, and net zero by 2070. So these two things have basically been accepted by the cabinet over here. Okay. CGI's recommendation on successor sort, fine. So NV Ramana, who's the present Chief Justice of India, so he will be retiring. So the next Chief Justice of India has to be appointed. So there is a procedure that has been established. There is an agreement between the Supreme Court and the government, the union government. And this is known as Memorandum of Procedure. As per this, the outgoing Chief Justice of India will recommend the name of the senior most judge who is fit to hold the office. So the senior most judge is Justice UU Lalit. So he should be the next this thing. So the law minister has to seek the opinion of the Chief Justice of India, and that person will become the Chief Justice, next Chief Justice. Yeah, this article, this man lynched an MP over suspicion of cattle smuggling. So this lynching is it was asked by UPSC. Now, how I see it is, it can be taken up from the point of view of case study. So case study, like some news has come to your mind that there is a people who are under, there is a possibility of lynching taking place. They have been surrounded. It has come to your notice. What measures do you take, right? All that risk, all the story masala will be there, and then you have to write what all steps have to be taken, or what will be your course of action. So let me just, Sri Lanka hardships to persist till end of year. We'll continue to hold the line of defense, says Taiwan. Fine. Destroyed foreign arms depot in Ukraine, says Russia. US Indonesia hold joint military drills amid China concerns. Fine. So US is getting active in this region. So kind of a solidarity. So these countries working together. Services growth slides to 4-month low, says the PMI survey. Purchase Manager Index released by the S&P Global Initiative. Okay, so that is all for pre. Advise states to enforce digital generation of the DIN. So what is this? So the Supreme Court has directed the Center and the GST Council to issue an advisory to states regarding the implementation of the system of electronic generation of a document identification number, something to do with the GST filing. Okay, so this is it. This is moving on to the sports news. So we should know what all is happening. So yeah. So World Athletics Under 20 Championship in Sri Lanka, in Cali, Colombo. Sorry, not in Sri Lanka, in Cali, Colombia. So South America. Mixed badminton team settles for silver, Commonwealth Games. So most of it is actually Commonwealth over here. Right then, so this basically concludes the analysis. So thank you for streaming in to our channel, IASPrimers, with me, Shubhashish. Bye-bye, all the best.